Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the Lenovo Legion 7i for 2023. The unit that I just received from Lenovo for review purposes retails for roughly $2,500 US. I'll include a link in the description. We've got an Intel 13th generation i9 processor, complemented by an Nvidia RTX 4080 with 12 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM on board, a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD, and, well, quite a bit more that you're going to see in a moment. So without further ado, let's get this thing out of the box. And I'm really excited to share it with all of you because it is a complete beast. We're talking about, or at least it should be, again, $2,500 buying you something that, in my opinion, is really tough to find a spec list quite like this that then incorporates everything you could possibly want, and it does so at a price that I think is decent. I mean, $2,500 is a lot, but you're getting a lot of machine in here. 6 pounds, not incredibly portable, but it's a gaming rig that is portable, so that to me is very impressive. 300-watt power adapter, which you probably could have guessed, I imagine, because that's generally what we anticipate with a machine like this, and that's got to be in here, so let's go ahead and just pop that open before we get to the machine. We have per-key RGB lighting. There's the 300-watt power brick, and I can tell you, this is the first time I'm seeing the refresh of this. It's actually 330. I thought it was 300. It is significantly smaller, and that's something I'll cover when I do a side-by-side comparison with the previous generation. But either way, this really does promise to give you desktop-class performance in a 6-pound machine that can go anywhere. Now, the display on this unit did not change. We're still working with a 16-inch, as I get rid of this box, a 16-inch QHD Plus, that's 2560 by 1600 resolution display, over 500 nits of brightness. So I'm still expecting a really good display experience, 240 hertz refresh rate. So from a gaming perspective, it definitely checks all the boxes. Color accuracy, it's also good. We already know that because, again, this is not a refresh when it comes to at least the actual display. So build quality on this machine, like previous generations, was always really good. Let's go ahead and open it up for the first time. And this machine has been set up by Lenovo. This is the first time I am seeing it, like all of you. So let's go ahead and slide that into frame. We've got a matte finish on the display, a 1080p webcam at the top, of course, a privacy switch, pretty sure is located on the right side. We'll get to that in a moment. First thing I can tell you right off the bat, looking at this machine immediately, is something I wasn't even aware of, but now clearly am, which is that the deck is no longer made of aluminum. So the days of the all-metal construction are over. This is plastic, but you know, that may not be a bad thing. We'll see. I'm not going to put a spin on it. We'll see as I use it, right? And we'll find out. Keyboard, pretty much the same. Maybe a little bit different, actually. Nice key travel here. Seems solid to me. Remember, as I mentioned before, per key RGB. Trackpad, also, I think it's plastic as well, but has a nice tactile click. Doesn't seem to have any, off clicking, if you will. Numerical keypad, some of you love it, some of you hate it. I prefer to have it, especially on a full-featured machine like this that literally cuts no corners. And the build quality on this is still excellent. I mean, it's a brick, and in a good way, not a bad way. So a little bit of stylistic changes here on the side with that almost spackle-like paint that they're using. We've got our headphone microphone combo jack right there above my thumb. Then we've got the shutter privacy button for that 1080p webcam, which I'm not expecting to blow us away, but hopefully maybe it's better than the previous generation. It is a built-in webcam after all. It's just there for one thing and one thing only, not high-quality production. Then we've got a USB port here on the side that is, I'm not sure, it's clearly a 3. The question is at what speed. We've got a Thunderbolt 4 port on the left side of the machine right here. That's a full feature Thunderbolt 4. Another USB 3 port there on the other side. So they're making sure to check all the boxes on I/O. And then on the back here, besides all the ventilation, which continues with this, it's not a diamond, but whatever that shape is that is new, we've got our power port. And then next to it, 2 more USB ports, HDMI 2.1, another Thunderbolt port, and last but not, actually this one I don't think is Thunderbolt. I think it's a a USB 3.2, Gen 2, and then we have an Ethernet port. And that rounds everything out on this beast. So again, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 Type A USB ports, 2 USB-C ports, one of which is a Thunderbolt 4. You can see right here the labeling on the top. So that USB-C port is the power delivery port, for those of you that are wondering. And everything else I've already pretty much covered, mentioned. So let's see if I can get a boot on this right now. I don't know if it has a charge. But really what this is going to be all about is this is the sort of machine that is no compromise, as I mentioned before. You've got pretty much everything under the sun, and this doesn't mean that you have to game. Clearly, you can turn off the RGB lighting. You can turn off the actual light bar that is projecting right now onto my desk. You can't really see it that well. And you know, the styling on this, I think Lenovo has come a long way from being very gamer-centric to trying to make something that is a little bit more palatable for everyone. Because if you're just a power user that wants one of, if not the most powerful machines on the market, the Legion 7i is in that realm, especially if you jump up to the 4090. You know, the 4070, of course, being the entry point right now on this particular build. Another nice thing, and this just came up automatically, is that Lenovo has gotten more aggressive with your ability to actually tweak performance. That's something I'll get to in my actual coverage of this rather than today's video. But it's going to be very interesting to see how this thing benchmarks between, again, that 13th gen high-powered i9 from Intel with that no-holds-barred 4080 with 12 gigs of RAM, because remember, we shouldn't see thermal throttling with this machine. They've also done quite a facelift on the interior. The RAM is upgradable, for those of you that are wondering. And the NVMe speeds on here should be excellent. There are 2 slots. Only one is presently occupied. Again, I'm just excited to put this to work, see what it can do. But I'm expecting that we may be able to get 4K gaming to an external monitor out of this in a way that is actually enjoyable. And what this will be potentially able to do with things like video editing, sky's the limit right now for mobile computing with a machine like this, or of course an i9 paired with that 4090. At least that's the way things should play out. But we'll see as I spend more time with it. I'm not expecting battery life to be amazing, but that's just part of the rub with getting an incredibly powerful machine stuffed into a fairly svelte package like this. Rounds things out. What doesn't it have? I don't know, the kitchen sink. Or actually, it is the kitchen sink, right? Because it pretty much does have everything. I think the only thing that didn't get upgraded is that 16:10 aspect ratio QHD Plus display, which some would argue at 240 hertz, I mean, the only other logical upgrade would be an OLED panel. And that's wishful thinking for the future that I'm sure eventually will make its way to the line. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button. And as usual, please feel free to subscribe and please stay safe. Later.